I wanted to make a quick video for all of you outlining the differences between running Windows via Bootcamp and running Windows via Parallels on a Mac. And this video is intended only for Mac people that are looking to install Microsoft Office for Windows and having that option outside of running Mac OS X on their MacBook. So they're going to need Windows. For all of you that already have a PC running Windows, this video is not for you. You're good to go. All you have to do is take those Excel plugins for the MBA 701 class and you're good to go. For all the Mac people that are still looking to add the Microsoft Windows version of Microsoft Office, this video will help you out a little bit if you need some direction. So things you'll need before we get started: you'll need a copy of Windows for installation. So you'll need to find somewhere to get a legal copy of Windows. You can get it, I think, in a disk form still maybe, but for sure you could buy it from maybe the university and get it in a digital format and just download it. Either way, it needs to be an installable copy of Windows, and you can have it on your hard drive and it should be fine even from there. You'll also need to decide if you're going to use Bootcamp or Parallels, and Parallels actually is going to cost you at current $79.99 from their website. So I'll show you what it looks like here. This is Parallels Desktop 11 for Mac. When you go to buy now, it tells you, yep, there it is, $79.99. I think it's worth it, but I understand if you're on a budget, and that's why there's another option for you, which you have Windows. You have the Mac Bootcamp option, which is built in. So if you go to your Applications folder and go to Other, you'll see the Bootcamp Assistant here, and this is where you go to install Microsoft Windows on your Intel-based Mac. You have to have Windows ready to go, and then as you continue on, it'll just go from there. So some of the pros and cons to Bootcamp versus Parallels. Well, obviously I mentioned one, but Bootcamp is free. It's built-in software with Mac OS X. You don't need to pay anything. You just need to have your Microsoft Office copy of that for Windows, and then Windows itself. And speaking of which, before I go further, there's several different copies of Windows. You have, I wouldn't go older than Vista or XP. I mean, I wouldn't go back that far at all. But I'm using Windows 7, for example. I think it's the most stable of all the Windows that we've had recently. I mean, I think it's great. Windows 8 is really complicated. It's more mobile. I don't know. It's made for touchscreens. They kind of perfected that with Windows 10, but Windows 10 has still got a long ways to go before I consider jumping to that from Windows 7. So if you're able to get Windows 7, that's what I would get. I know Windows 7 is actually the official operating system for most businesses still, and for the university at UNCG. So that's the one I recommend. If you can get Windows 7, get that. Or else, I mean, if you had to get another copy, I would go with Windows 10, but do not get Windows 8. I would avoid Windows 8 at all costs. So get Windows 7 or Windows 10. So going back to Bootcamp, it's free, it's built in. Another pro to Bootcamp is it actually uses the full computer power. So when you launch Windows in Bootcamp, you're literally leaving the entirety of Mac OS X from the beginning and launching Windows from the start. So I'll show you. You'll hold down the Option key when you open up the Mac. When you press the power button, you'll hold down Option, and then you actually select the operating system that you want to boot into. So I think you can actually see there's a recovery drive, and then there's Windows. You'll tap over with your arrows, and then you'll hit Enter over Windows, and it'll literally launch the copy of Windows straight from your MacBook. So that's Bootcamp. It runs at full power. Parallels, however, shares PC power with Mac OS X. So Windows 7 on mine, for example, with Parallels, opens like a program would, and acts just like a program. You could leave it like a program, and there's benefits, there's pros and cons with that. It's technically slower because it has to share power with the Mac operating system, but it's just more of a seamless experience, and you don't have to worry about partitioning your hard drive. And that's my next point. When you run Bootcamp, you have to partition, which is dividing out a certain section of your hard drive to be only usable for Windows. And when you make that partition, when you divide out that storage, you can never use that storage under that partition for Mac. You'll never get that back. Which brings up another point. If you decide to use the free Bootcamp option, or you just prefer that option, make sure you back up your Mac. I would back up everything with Time Machine or whatever you use to back up your software or whatever. I would back everything up before partitioning your hard drive, just in case you decide that maybe that was a mistake. So that launches at startup with Bootcamp. Parallels launches like a program, and I'm going to show you what mine looks like right now. I'm going to go ahead and launch it up. So it's actually opening now, Parallels Desktop. One really cool thing is I actually had an option for mine where it shares the same desktop, so it doesn't give you a Windows window like you would see, like a little program window with a desktop within a desktop. It actually shares the exact same desktop with my OS X operating system. So it's launching up now. I'm going to let it go. Doesn't take too long. It just mounted the hard drive, which is the C drive for Windows 7. And as you can see, this has been here on my dock the whole time, but I have a Windows 7 applications folder. So it kind of shows me all this stuff. It's already up here. It's always up. But if I click on these things without Windows being open, it'll say, well, we have nothing that could run this file type. Well, duh, because Mac can't read it. So you have to make sure that Windows 7 is running before you launch anything out of the applications folder. Now this just popped up here. This is a Windows 7 little window, a little preview of the desktop. It's kind of like a never-ending loop. But when I click on it, hey, there's the familiar start menu we all know and love from Windows. So there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and launch Microsoft Office Excel for Windows. And there you have it. And when I even for some reason I'm clicking and dragging. When I minimize the program, it'll even minimize to my dock. So it's really organized. I actually thought that this was a lot more seamless than Bootcamp, and I don't mind taking a little bit of the power hit. I'm only going to be running Microsoft Office out of it anyway for a couple of classes, so I thought, why not? I could even open Microsoft Excel for Mac at the exact same time, and I can show you the differences between the two. It's very interesting. They look a little bit different. It looks more bland for the Office for Windows. I don't know, but apparently it's better, so we'll go with that. Alright, and like I said, that is the start menu right here, and you actually shut down from it as well. So when I shut it down, it'll unmount the hard drive and shut down like Windows normally would. So it's leaving Windows 7, and that's it. And that's all I had to mention for this little short video. If you need help installing everything or have any other questions, I'll be on campus tomorrow. And I'll be there in the afternoon from 1 to 5 after I get off work, with the exception of an interview that I'll be unavailable for around 3 o'clock. So thank you for watching the video.